The #1 show in the world just wrapped up, WandaVision. How did you guys feel? Like, because I was like, I'm like, what is like the whole episode, the whole series? I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? And then I'm like, I think it's gonna happen. I think this is gonna happen. I didn't get the theories that I was hoping for didn't happen, but I'm like, I wasn't really mad at it. So the theme about the overall story of WandaVision is about a woman who has a mental breakdown, and she's going through a grieving process, and it's presented as this weird, like it's covered in the superhero layers.
Yeah.
Take away the superhero stuff, and I'm like, I'm still intrigued. I think I am. The one thing that kind of it is a slow burn, but the way in was the TV show. So who wants to explain about what that was about? Like Sarah, Tyler, Renee, want to start off with that?
Yeah. So basically, Wanda created this fantasy world because based on these TV shows that she watched, TV sitcom shows that she would watch with her family, because it was their escape from the reality of their current situation. Like when she was 10 years old, there was a war going on in Sokovia. And so her family would get together and just escape from that through TV sitcoms, by watching TV sitcoms. So in a way, it's Wanda's coping mechanism for her current situation, that because she has these powers, she can make it reality.
Sarah, Tyler, settle that? Or
yeah, that nail on the head.
All right. Okay, so I was a slow burn for me at the video. I'm like, why are we watching this? Like, what is this about?
It does start off pretty interesting because you don't know what you're watching just yet, because you just see these two Avengers in a TV sitcom setting. And you're like, what direction is this going to go in? And I think everybody was wondering how that was going to pan out when they were doing the promos, right?
Yeah, because it's all it was. There was a TV show, but we don't know what the TV show is going through different decades. So we're like, is it like just a love letter to TV shows? What is it? And then you find out that it's Wanda like creating this world. Like is she like something that I don't think was ever answered? I mean, no, it was not, the question was never asked, but it was kind of no. So let me take that again. Like it kind of puts like is Scarlett, no, not even Scarlet Witch, is Wanda Maximoff the villain of this piece, or is she just kind of did this show have an antagonist in your opinion, or was it just like a character piece?
She was unknowingly the antagonist. So that's what makes the show kind of interesting, because you want to root for Wanda, but really she has been torturing the people of Westview, but this is without her knowing it. And I think this power that she has that she's not familiar with has a sort of mind of its own, because she doesn't quite know how to control it yet.
Yeah, she had a lot of collateral damage with her grief. Basically, like for me, it was really illustrated in like the Halloween episode where like the people on the edge of town are just like doing like repetitive tasks,
or they wouldn't be moving.
Yeah, and it just like I definitely think she's kind of a villain, because I mean the damage she's caused these people has to be really awful. Like, and they were there for days.
They were feeling what she was feeling.
You feel at peace.
We feel your pain. Your grief is poisoning us.
No, stop.
Please, let us go. Please.
So she was putting them through her grief.
They said it too, like your nightmares are our nightmares, and that got to me. Like I remember when I forget what she's called in this show, but she's Eric Foreman's mom. She's Red's mom from that '70s show. If you don't, thank you. Yeah. Like if you're not gonna let us.
If you won't let us go, just let us die, please.
I will let you go. I will.
That really got to me. I'm like, oh, what a punk. That's another word.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
so my theory on who the actual villain is the way I equate it equates nicely to Civil War. Like a villain in Civil War is also Elizabeth Olsen, not because of her doing it on purpose, but because of her power she doesn't know how to control. She is the inciting incident for the Sokovia Accords because she killed a lot of people in Africa. But I also think Agatha, I always suspected throughout the whole series, Agatha was kind of keeping the spell going. Is what I thought, because I've always felt like by like episode 3, definitely by episode 4, she's starting to snap out of it, and Agatha keeps pushing her back in.
I don't. So I was confused because to me, what the show tells us pretty much was that Agatha was like on minding her own business until she senses a great magic power, and she's like, "Well, what is this happening?" Because if like she just kind of played along to Wanda's Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I kind of have a theory about that where I think she wanted to see where Wanda was going with her power. Because you notice she instigates a lot. I mean, after we've realized it was Agatha all along. Yeah. It starts to make sense. She was instigating these events to push Wanda further into her reality so she can question her. How are you doing this? Where are you getting all this power? Because she is power hungry. She wants, Agatha's goal is to attain more power.
Which I found personally
steal Scarlet Witch's power.
Yeah.
I found that to be very, very disappointing. I'm like, that's your great plan, steal her power. To me, that was disappointing. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I was in, because I'm like, to me, WandaVision was a character piece about this woman who had a mental breakdown, and to cope with it, she had to create her own reality. She brought her back her dead husband. She created her kids, which I'm like, just like a young Avengers, awesome. And I'm like, but then the big final battle is this generic Marvel like badass fight. I'm like,
yeah,
cool, but the resolution for me was like it was a big letdown. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
It kind of fell flat, but they're gonna tie it all together throughout Phase 4.
I think so. I think it's gonna go through. I think that they're leading into Doctor Strange. I think it's the obvious Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
And Captain Marvel
she's on the cast list.
Yeah, exactly. And then and also Secret Invasion. So something I was like, I kind of texted CJ about was that to me it felt like because Marvel still can't use the X-Men or not the X-Men just yet, they introduced a Scarlet Witch as an entity akin to the Phoenix Force. Did any of you feel that?
A Nexus being. Yeah, no, they a lot of people have been pointing that out, that this is Disney's version of the Dark Phoenix saga, and they did it really well.
You think so?
So far,
I think so. Yeah.
Sarah,
so far,
yeah,
so far.
I'm just irritated that they aren't integrating the X-Men universe how it's supposed to.
Long lost bro get to squeeze his stinking sister to death or what?
Dude,
I know.
Like
fake Pietro.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about fake Pietro. Let's talk about Pietro. Because when they brought him in, I'm like, oh no way! That's how we're gonna bring in the X-Men. But at the same time, to me, and I said this in the time version, it felt like it was like a this to the fans and a this to the fans. That's what I felt. I'm like, haha.
Yeah.
But
it was definitely a bait. That's for sure.
Because to me, what that tells me is that they're not gonna bring anyone from those Fox movies. Like we're a clean slate. This was kind of the ultimate troll, the ultimate Rickroll. And it was a Marvel Rickroll. How did you guys feel? Sarah, we'll start with you.
I don't know. I was excited to see him, though I still have problems with like the multiverse. Like I feel it makes things too easy for them. Like because obviously he would have to be Quicksilver from a different universe because the Quicksilver in the MCU universe has passed. But I don't know. I was kind of like, it'd be nice to have Quicksilver back, but at the same time, I wasn't like super attached. It just, I was like, it's cool. I recognize him. If it's supposed to be an Easter egg instead of something like, that they're trying to do, I'm okay with that. But
Tyler?
Yeah, actually, I was with you. I was super stoked when I first saw him. I like literally leaped out of my couch and like dove onto the floor and rolled around like a kid having a temper tantrum of excitement. But I was really disappointed when they didn't go with it. But then I also like started asking the question then, because Agatha gave whatever the kid's name was his speed. Does that mean that Scarlet Witch gave her brother his super speed then too? So I was kind of intrigued to start asking that question, because like maybe the stone didn't give Quicksilver his speed. Maybe it came from
Wanda.
Wanda, yeah.
Renee?
When I first saw the scene, I was crying and laughing at the same time. I was overwhelmed with emotion, like, oh my God, it's her brother. And then it was Quicksilver from the Fox movies or from Fox X-Men series. I was busting my ass off. I was overwhelmed and then laughing. But I thought it was interesting how initially I thought it was Wanda subconsciously popping in a Pietro from the multiverse, somewhere that existed in the multiverse, and just plopped it into her reality, but didn't know why she did that. But now we know it's been Agatha all along.
I thought that's where they were going to, because when if she did that, then that would have left the gate open, which would have brought us to Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and then also affected potentially the Spider-Man 3 universe.
Yeah. And interesting enough, in the next episode after Pietro's introduction into the WandaVision, he has a mom tattoo, which I think is a little Easter egg for Multiverse of Madness, the acronyms.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's interesting. I never thought of that. Renee?
Blowed your guys' mind just now. That's so great.
You blow my tiny little mind. So let's talk about that too, because there was a lot of theories that were like none of them came through at all. There was not a single theory that it was Mephisto, that they were bringing the X-Men through that one. What else was there? The Space Engineer was going to be Reed Richards.
I heard Nightmare was thrown around a lot.
I didn't think that. I'm like,
I didn't think it was Nightmare either.
I didn't think they were going to go to Supernatural just yet. But something I do want to talk about was that her becoming the Scarlet Witch, and then they said it too. Like you're like when she says like, all right, let's just.
The Scarlet Witch is not born; she is forged. She has no coven, no need for incantation.
I'm not a witch. I don't cast spells. No one taught me magic.
Your power exceeds that of the Sorcerer Supreme. It's your destiny to destroy the world.
Which is Doctor Strange. So
maybe not yet. He isn't
he's not yet.
It's Benedict Wong.
Ooh.
He's not Sorcerer Supreme yet. Technically, it's the other dude, because the ancient one was the Sorcerer Supreme. So in the MCU, he's not the Sorcerer Supreme yet.
Okay.
So hold your horses.
So maybe, I'm sorry. So maybe in Multiverse of Madness, she does become the villain, and Doctor Strange has to stop her because she's going to go after the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yes.
And we still have more Mordo as a villain.
Oh.
Yeah, because he hasn't really done much yet.
What did he do in the first one?
There's a post-credit scene at the end of the first one.
Oh yeah, too many magicians. That's right.
Yeah.
Sounds like too many cooks. Sorry.
Tyler, do you have any thoughts? Any point you want to talk about? We're talking about it earlier.
Yes. Well, I just want to definitely establish that actually my favorite episode was the flashback episode, the penultimate episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really added a lot of layers to Wanda's being, and I really loved how she coped with sitcoms and throughout history. And I really have to rifle off every television reference that I found. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a TV nerd. And right away from the first episode, that house, I'm like, oh, that's the house from Dick Van Dyke. And then the two beds, like that's the I Love Lucy beds. When the boss dude was choking, I'm like, oh, that's like Hitchcock cinematography. Yeah.
Hold on. I want to talk about that scene, because that scene too, when the mom was saying, stop it.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and then
was she talking to?
She was talking to Wanda.
To the husband or to Wanda? Okay. That, because I'm like,
because when you watch it again with now knowing what you know, the scene is a lot darker than you think than it was initially.
Sorry, go ahead. I just want to point that out when you said.
No, that's good. That's good. And actually, a quick note on that, because we were talking about how much Agatha knew. I think she always knew, because she would always just show up from episode 1 for like no reason, like uninvited neighbor. And I think that's because she always knew and had enough power to kind of resist Wanda. And just to talk about my favorite part for a second was in the finale, when the Visions were having their existential crisis.
You are familiar with the thought experiment, the ship of Theseus, in the field of identity metaphysics?
Naturally. The ship of Theseus is an artifact in a museum. Over time, its planks of wood rot and are replaced with new planks. When no original plank remains, is it still the ship of Theseus?
If those removed planks are restored and reassembled free of the rot, is that the ship of Theseus?
It really reminded me of that conversation, that monologue at the end of Blade Runner, when the android says,
"Oh, the
like
rains." Yeah,
Tears in the Rain. Yeah, and that's what my favorite stuff with the WandaVision stuff is. Vision's like, what am I? And then it really ties to like, what is life, what is existence, and it really goes in well with Wanda's preservation of existence without reality, because the kids aren't real. Vision isn't. I guess he's real because he has his real thoughts in it. So that was just really fascinating stuff for me.
Sarah, anything you want to add?
Well, when I first found out they were doing this, I was really worried about it, because I was like I hate when people die and it's not like a real thing, because then nothing ever has consequences. They made an episode or a series of American Horror Story where they were witches, the American Horror Story Coven, and I think everyone in that series at one point died and then came back to life. And then I was like, why am I even watching this? Because none of the decisions you make even matter. So I had that apprehension of coming into this and being like, Vision's back, but he should be dead. Like I didn't want a simple solution of, oh, we just snagged him from somewhere else, or we just, made him exist again. And I think they managed to do a good balance of not just replacing him or like, because the choices that happened were permanent. Like, he is not back. Like, even if he did something to his mechanical body at the end of the last episode, if he did unleash its memories or whatever, I feel like that's an acceptable way instead of like snagging him from somewhere in the multiverse. So I was glad that they did that.
That was cool. Yeah, no, thank you for that. I felt the same way. I'm like you said, no one's ever dead. Loki, Coulson, who else? The only person that's stayed dead so far is Pietro. Kinda. No, yeah, because even the one they brought back was
Black Widow
Pietro.
is another one.
so far.
So far.
So far. Knock on wood. But go back to Tyler's point. Like I love how pretty much Agatha and Wanda just go at it, like go all crazy, but Vision has to use philosophy to be like, I'm like, am I the real Vision? Are you the real Vision? I'm like, I'm like,
they get into a philosophical
exactly,
debate.
like,
elaborate.
I'm like,
because they're both like, I mean, not saying that anybody's less intelligent, but they're both very intelligent synthezoids, and so what best way to battle yourself is get into a philosophical debate with yourself.
So that being said, what would you rate it out of 5 stars? What would you rate it? Renee, we'll start with you, and then we'll go Renee, Tyler, Sarah.
Okay, I would rate it a 4.5.
4.5. All right. Tyler.
I'm also thinking like maybe 4 point something, maybe 4.2. And I would only knock it because I feel like it deserved one more episode.
Yeah.
I feel like the rough kind of crash ending of just everything happening at once is just, they're just cramming it all in. With one more episode exploring more on the tail end of things, of like where Wanda ended up instead of just a post-credit scene in like the woods somewhere, I would probably have given it more points than that.
Okay, so I'm gonna round it down to 2, just to make it simpler for my calculator. I'm round it to 4. Sorry. Renee, Sarah, what would you give it?
I don't know. I would give it a 5.
Okay.
I'm not very picky. I enjoyed watching it. I would watch it again. It was fun. And it was good. I felt like for Marvel's first, well, it's not really their first foray into TV, but like their first live action as a Disney Plus thing. I thought it was really good. I liked it more than I thought I would. So
I'm also going to give it 4. So our official rating is 4.375. I'm gonna round it up to 4.5. So we're gonna give it 4.5 out of 5. Do we all agree with that? Do we think that's a fair rating?
I think that's a fair rating.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So before we move on, Renee, you wanted to talk about something I want to talk about that I forgot to talk about, that we talked about was there were little Easter, little throwbacks, and one scene reminded me of another movie, and I'm gonna show you the scene that it reminded me of first.
Okay.
And then we'll let you know if
You Homo sapiens and your guns.
That's enough, Eric. Let them go.
Care to press your luck, Charles? I don't think I can stop them all.
when she goes
like father like father like daughter.
That's exactly what I thought, because I'm like, did you guys not see that reference to X-Men?
I did.
I'm like, did anyone else think that?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, jeez. So I heard a rumor that there was gonna be a big cameo. It was gonna be. I'm like, was the big cameo Pietro? Was it Peter Evans?
Probably.
If that was it, I'm like, oh well then.
I guess. Evan Peters.
Evan Peters. Yeah, I was.
Oh, speaking of Evan Peters, did you catch the Kick-Ass reference?
Yes.
Because they were both Kick-Ass,
they
were both in Kick-Ass, and they both play Pietro or Quicksilver.
That was I did catch that reference. That was pretty cool. I'm like, So that was also so something I liked about that show too. That it when it showed it wasn't afraid to kind of like it showed the gore side. Like when it showed Vision in the zombie state, when it showed Pietro all messed up. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is really dark. This is it. It reminded me of something along the lines of what's it, David Lynch, It was almost Lynchy in those moments. I'm like, this is something you won't see on. I don't see the distinguished competition doing in their movies or in their TV shows. They kind of always keep it kid friendly. I'm like, how do you guys feel about that?
It is dark, but Marvel does it in such a way that it's dark for a moment and then they like carry it on as business as usual as fast as possible, so you're not lingering in that shock.
I think they need to do that so it's not for kids. Like, I mean, obviously
the comic books are obviously gory in print. Why can't they do it on TV?
Because unfortunately, more people watch TV than read.
That's true.
That's,
we're doing a show about that, aren't we?
All right, Sarah, is there anything you want to touch? Anything you want to say?
I don't really have anything else. Yeah.
All right, Tyler, anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I just really wanted a Doctor Strange cameo at the end. I really wanted the tie-in, and I felt really like shortchanged with the scroll. And I'm like, we already saw this at the end of Spider-Man 3. But
we did.
Yeah, we did. You already did that. Like, don't do it again. It's like, we remember. We're not dumb.
So it's either setting up Captain Marvel 2 or Secret Invasion.
I'm hoping both.
Renee?
I think it is. Because at the end of Spider-Man, we see Fury on a ship with the Skrulls. Maybe Fury's going to recruit Monica because someone pointed out online that there's a hexagonal shape on one of the monitors. Supposedly Fury has been monitoring the situation. I don't know if that's relevant at all.
I think that's just serendipity. I think that's just pure luck. I think I could be wrong. Go ahead.
Well, WandaVision was supposed to be the post-credit scene at the end of Endgame.
I did.
It makes sense that they would have had that then.
Okay. You've changed my mind, Tyler. Alrighty. So any final thoughts, any final comments on WandaVision before we frack off?
I wanted a spin-off series of Kat Dennings and Tiona Paris and Randall Park all together doing like X-Men-esque, or not X-Men, X-Files-esque show series. That would have been awesome.
The truth is out there.
I would watch it.
I would watch that too.
I love their chemistry. All three of them all together.
I loved her. I loved Kat Dennings. I'm like, oh my god, I forgot how much of this character. All I needed her to say was meow meow. That's all I needed. Tyler, any final thoughts or comments? I think, or was that it?
That was it. I also love Kat Denning. I agree.
Sarah.
Yeah, I just say watch it. I'm excited for what happens next. I think having TV shows that are actually part of the MCU is where they really cross over, because they kind of did that with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but we never had any real big crossover with that. So I'm excited for actual crossover. Me too,
Sarah. I would say watch it. I was pleasantly surprised. It's a slow burn, but I would say so to date. I think it's one of my favorite Marvel things they've done so far, because it's a character piece. It reminds me of the first Iron Man movie, where it's a character piece dressed in the superhero tropes. Take that away, and it's still a good. I probably wouldn't watch it, but I'm like, oh, this is a good show. But I'm trying to break that superhero trope. All right. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We'll see you same fracking time, same fracking channel. Frack off.